Hello friends, and welcome back to Toy Cafe. I am your host, and in this video, we are putting together, surprise surprise, another miniature dollhouse kit. This time, I usually like to talk about the people who live in these little rooms and who they might be, but in this particular room, I think it is crystal clear who lives here. But let's leave that for later, and first we'll put this room together. We'll start by taking it out of the box, of course. Everything was packaged up nice and neat in this particular kit. I especially like the materials for the paper materials because they were folded but not creased, so very easy to handle. If they're rolled up, they can be difficult to handle because they keep wanting to roll back up when you're working on them. But if they're just a little bit bent, it's easy to straighten them out, as you can see here. Some very vibrant colors on the walls there. Look at that wallpaper, isn't that loud? And that's a theme you'll see throughout this entire kit, is a lot of the colors are very loud, vibrant, and exciting. And I think that leads to the first conclusion is the people who live in this room are a couple of teenagers. Because usually teenagers like the more vibrant things, the more exciting things. And that brings us to the bunk beds. And the bunk beds here are a little bit simple, but still nice looking. They look more realistic than some of the others. But the colors that they picked out are, wow, they're really something. But I think that also sells the idea of the two teenagers living here, because you get the idea that one weekend they decided that they needed to express themselves, so they took their bunk beds apart, brought them outside, picked out some colors themselves, painted them up, brought them back inside when they were done, because this is definitely not a color their parents would have picked. But it is exciting and so vibrant. Yeah, it looks fantastic. And also the way the bunk beds are made with the filler here at the bottom, it looks like they're extra sturdy, which also sells that they're teenagers, because unfortunately teenagers tend to grow up pretty quick, and not just mentally but physically. They fill out and fill up the space pretty quickly, so you need a little more strength to hold them in their beds, in their furniture. So that really sells that point here in this kit. I like that. We're preparing the mattresses here. The bunk beds have a platform that's flush with the edge of the frame, so we just have a little pad to sell the idea of a mattress. Don't need the full thing. And that's just foam over cardstock with some material over that for the sheet. And it looks pretty good, I think. Of course, different sheets. These are definitely two individuals, not twins or anything. Or maybe they are twins, but they just like to be different. So nice pillows there. They had some really fun material in the kit for the pillows. So that really accented the bed as well. Putting together the main wardrobe here. And there's a nice little touch with the wardrobe with this corrugated material across the front and a little print. I thought that looked neat. A little bit unusual. I don't think it really reflects reality too much, but who cares? It looks sharp. Now we're working on some curtains, and the thing that goes around the top of the curtains, I forget what that's called. If you know, please let me know in the comments. But it came out pretty good. And I don't know if you noticed there, but I also folded the curtains and glued them folded because I wanted them to be pulled back like they were on a curtain rod, and they had just been slid back for the day to let the light in. Yeah, it went by a little bit quick. You'll see it later. Some laptops. Each one needs a laptop. And now we're getting into the main features of the room, and that is the musical instruments. We have a keyboard here, and there's going to be a bunch more. And this is something else that lets you know about the people in this room. They have a whole bunch of instruments. In fact, they have a setup for a 3-piece band. So they must really be into music because they're playing it so much. They got all the equipment, some new equipment, some old equipment. Yeah, looks like something that they scrounge together. They're buying new pieces when they have enough money. Otherwise, they're using borrowed pieces to fill in the gaps. Yeah. Proper little garage band, although it is in their bedroom, which must get pretty loud and maybe a little annoying for the parents. That's why usually bands do play out in the garage, because they're away from everyone and nobody has to listen to them practice the same song for hours on end. Yeah, another little touch here that I think really adds to the room is Skateboard. And that's just 2 layers of paper, cardstock, and some bead dumbbells, a little bit of bending. The instructions actually didn't recommend bending, but I added it in because it was almost perfect as it was. Little skateboard, and doesn't that look fantastic? Yeah, looks cool. And now we're starting in on the drum kit. This was a little bit tricky, and I did a lot of improvising here because the way that the instructions told you to put together the drum kit, they had some really nice details, and then they had some other parts that were just, well, didn't look very good at all, especially the legs and the stands for the drum kits. So these pieces of wire around the edge representing the knobs that you turn to tighten the skins on the drums, those were in the instructions, so that looked great. But then they wanted you to make a stand that just out of a couple pieces of wire that looked just terrible, so I improvised on that quite a bit. Try to get something a little bit nicer. The microphone here is completely my own invention. Just a cone rolled up and a little metal bead on the end, and I thought that looked fantastic. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Like a mic from the 70s, something that they might have borrowed. So we're starting on the desk here as well, and these pieces of wood are actually embossed with some marks to give the idea that they're raised panel drawers. I always like that. I think that looks really good in these little kits. It's a very easy way to add fantastic detail to a kit that the manufacturers can do. You can see it there. Now we're going to start assembling. Add a little clamp lamp there. A little bit of glue on the legs. I like to glue everything down in my kits. Some people like to do it without gluing the things down so that they can rearrange it later, but I prefer to glue everything down because if I don't, I know it's just going to go flying when I get a little bit clumsy and knock it with my hand. So there's the window, and you can see the folded drapes there. I thought that looked pretty good. I'd never seen something like that before, so I wanted to give it a try. Get the desk, that wild lampshade there. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Little chair. The legs there on the chair are my own as well. And there's the drum stand. And you can see the little stand underneath the drums and the legs on that one. The legs on that one are a little bit big. But again, I wanted to make it a little more realistic than what the kit had. And that's more or less what they look like in real life. A few details missing, because normally on a drum kit, all of that stuff is adjustable. Got their amplifier there sitting precariously on top of the speaker, just like real musicians. All their speakers set up. This is going to be a very loud performance. You get the guitar in the background. Yeah. And we're just going to place some of the details as well. Something I did forget to do was to put beads for knobs on the drawer fronts there in the desk. I don't know how they're going to get those drawers open. It's going to take all kinds of effort. I don't believe the kit actually gave me beads for the drawer fronts, so that's why I forgot it. But maybe if you get the kit yourself, you can add some in there. Make it complete. And of course, I arranged everything kind of messy, so these teenagers, they keep the room clean, but it still has the regular sort of tornado of stuff going on in it like you normally see in a teenage room. Lots of details, lots of band posters. Some of these are real bands, some of them are made up. It was kind of funny looking at them because the kit originally comes from China, so the American bands they were trying to make up there were a little bit funny sometimes. The translations didn't come through quite clearly. Get a potted plant in there. They can't be all bad as kids. They were able to keep their plant alive. Yeah, and there we go. So like I said, I think this is a room of a couple of teenagers who have their own band. They're really into music and also enjoy sports as well, but it's mostly about the music. Yeah, and there's pictures on the back of this kit as well. Yeah, I've seen those going on earlier. That's a neat touch. They really finished all sides of this. The little dartboard, those darts were fun to make. A lot of pinching and squinting, trying to get them just right. There we are at night, the two lamps lighting it up nicely, and that big spotlight at on the floor there to light up the band. Yeah, definitely a lot of dreaming going on here. Avril Lavigne on the cover of the magazine there too. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. And if you really enjoy what I'm doing here, please consider hitting one of the Amazon links down in the description. And every time you buy something there, whether it's one of the supplies I have listed or anything at all, Amazon will kick back a few dollars to me, and I'll use that money to help make more videos for you. But in the meantime, I want to say thanks for watching. Bye-bye.